What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Photo Room podcast with Jair Delgadillo and Daniel Rodriguez. This is the first podcast,
dude,
in a long time.
In a while, dude.
We've been busy. We haven't been lazy about it.
No, definitely not lazy.
We've just been busy. And if you've watched any of our previous episodes, you might notice that there's a different setup.
Slight difference.
Big difference. We're actually in Danny's new studio, which is really great space.
Yeah, thank you.
Everything's brand new. It's a good spot.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
And it's super big, probably bigger than whatever you anticipated it could have been.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's a great spot. What if you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I mean, I had previously, if you guys didn't know, had been at Orale Studios, or Orale Collective. You don't call it studios. Orale Collective for a while. And I think it was like a full year, I think, that I was there.
So, yeah.
And I kind of wanted to have my own identity, I guess you could say. It was nothing like against the guys at all, for sure.
Sure.
Yeah. And I just decided we wanted to have like our own space or whatever. And I started shopping around. I started looking at different studios. They're very like expensive, you know. I wouldn't say like I would say expensive for the space. Like it was like above 1,000 for like, 400 or 500 square feet kind of thing. So I was like, I don't know. Or it was almost like 900,000 square feet, which is like, I felt like it was too big for what I wanted. Mm-hmm. And then it was like $1,200, you know. So then one of my buddies hit me up and was like, hey, man, like I can rent you a studio. It's on this property, which I had done photos of like a before. I was going to do before and after photos of this place. And
because it was getting remodeled.
It's getting remodeled. Yeah. So I was like, I mean, let me go check it out. We came and checked it out. Nothing was kind of done to it. Just like a little bit of the sheetrock and whatnot. And I was like, how much? And he's like, I'll rent it to you for $1,000 or whatever. Then I was like, man, $1,000, but I love the space. There's already a house here, like literally next to us in the same property. So I was like, just sell me the house. Like, can you just sell me the house? I kind of said it like, I literally did not know if I could get approved for the house. Yeah. Like, at that time, like business was great because like we're doing a lot of work, hence why we haven't done the podcast. Mm-hmm. But also, like I didn't know I could qualify for the house. Yeah. Like as a photographer, I mean, I didn't know at that time, like if it was possible.
From the big jump, right? Renting and owning your own spot.
Exactly. So then, when long story short, we applied, we got approved. Mm-hmm. And months later, we were able to get the house that comes along with this 800 square foot space that is now the studio.
Heck yeah.
So yeah, DR Photo Studio, or DR Photo and Video Studio is what I guess I call it. We haven't done I should do like a logo for it and like kind of what you're doing with Unlucky, which we'll talk about for sure. But I just feel like there's so much work. There's so much to do already,
Yeah. Oh, 100%, dude. I mean, like you mentioned it just with the Unlucky stuff, like how much time is actually dedicated to it for anything to happen.
Yeah.
Is kind of wild. And I didn't expect it to be that time consuming, but obviously it's like worth it. Like,
100%.
I'll spend like a day, like coming up with some ideas or like designing something. And it literally a full day. And you come out with this product, but it feels good. Like, I mean, we both know how it feels to like create stuff for other people. Mm. Once you start creating stuff for yourself, like, I don't know, it's a little different and it's really cool. I think like, that's one thing like I took from Eric's book, like, cause his designs and what he does for himself. Like, obviously like you were just wearing one of the hats and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's cool. It's cool to be like, associated for one, but then it's cool to be able to like, learn from him on that side.
Exactly.
But yeah, Yeah, dude. And I think like you obviously you have the hard part. Like you
Yeah.
have the space, you have the clientele. Like
Yeah.
that stuff's the hard part. Obviously now comes the time consuming part of like building it up,
Mhm.
really letting it be recognized for like a standalone kind of thing, you know, and
Yeah,
not
yeah.
just always like, oh yeah, that's Danny's studio.
Yeah.
You know, it's like has to be more than that, maybe.
Yeah.
At least what I think that you're looking for, right?
Of course, yeah. And part of the whole reason that had said that I wanted to leave Orale, because at the beginning it was just that I wanted to space to edit in, right? Like
Yeah.
it was hard for me to go work like from home and like be home.
Yeah.
It was just it's I guess it works for some people. It just didn't work for me. And I was working from home, but I get distracted easily. So then, but part of it was to build my own identity as well, right? Like, and I don't think I think a lot of people knew I was there, but not necessarily. Like, I would have some clients go there, like to meet, things like that. But I would shoot out of there. I would just work there, like editing stuff. And now that you have your own like space, now it's like, man, like it comes with like the responsibility. Yeah, you do kind of have to build your own identity. And like, I do have to start thinking about, you know, building my brand as what it is now, right? DR Photo and Video. We rebranded. We got a new logo. We're doing more things with it as well. But I always fight with the part, and I think you're over it already, where it's hard for me to stop doing something that's not paying me,
Mm-hmm.
right? To do something that like I want to do, like maybe just to call it as a passion project, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I do need to work on more. Like I want to work on more things that I want to do and I want to shoot. And then when I see you, like I remember one time on your phone, you showed me like all the logos, ideas, and like the designs that you have for like hats and shirts and things like that. I was like, dang, man, like if I can only just like put, you know, 30% of effort into that of what you're doing, you know, like that would change I feel like it would change like my whole identity and like brand and things like that. It's hard for me to like, even for like Instagram, like you have your Orale page, you have Unlucky, you have your own personal page.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just, I just have one like personal page and I just throw everything on there because I just can't imagine myself like doing another like Instagram. It's tough for me still.
Yeah.
Like, it's tough for me to like start another one.
Right. I think one thing that I feel like everybody has this, or they don't have to, right? But one thing that I did was I didn't look at building or working on my business as a passion project. Like it has to be like disciplined in the sense of like you have to do it no matter what. So you might as well get it going.
Yeah.
Because if not, I feel like there's opportunities missed. So one thing that I feel like I've done pretty good, because realistically, like, I mean, the company itself has only existed for, I mean, not even the beginning of the year. So what are we in August already? So not even 6 months. But I've been able to put like some things in like in order and having it kind of like play itself out because I was able to like dedicate time to it. Now I am able to gather business for things like a t-shirt, which is like, you'd think about it. It's like, it's kind of silly, right? Like all we did was literally design this shirt on Adobe Express.
Yeah.
And I sent it to my buddy and he's like, yeah, I can print that. Great. And then I got some printed for literally just the team and I, just so that we can have something to wear proudly. And then from there, people just started hitting me up. It's like, hey, I want a shirt. I want a shirt.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's like, hey, thanks for the shirt. Here's the money. I had an idea for this video, or I need these photos done. It's like, great. Let's see how we can help you out. So realistically, like, I don't think working on your brand should ever be looked at like a passion project. It should be like your business, and it's what it is, you know. A passion project would be more of like, oh, I want to shoot like a I don't know, like a high school kid that's good at soccer coming up, you know,
like a small doc.
yeah, like a mini doc, like that might be a passion project for multiple reasons, right? It's like it's a local kid, it's soccer, and like you want to like venture into like mini docs. That would be a passion project. But your logo, your brand identity, like all those things, like
it's part of your business.
It's part of your business, right? So I think that's important. And like by no means do I feel like I have it nailed down. It's just what I've been doing, I guess, is like I've been willing to like build as we're going and like figuring it out. And obviously working closely with other companies, kind of
helps out.
Yeah, it helps out a lot. So that has been like a big push into like doing it, and it's like working out, right? And I'm sure there's going to be a day where it's like, oh, we could have done this a little bit better, but now we adjust and we go from there. Yeah. But yeah, I think for a lot of years, I didn't focus on that. And I don't know why, to be honest with you. I think because it is time consuming,
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it's always been like even when I was remember when we were doing YouTube, like consistently, you were shooting all my behind the scenes. Like I love the fact that we can have those memories of like all those shoots that we did. But it was hard for me to keep going because it was not, paying me money. Like it wasn't immediately, right? It wasn't paying me money. So I think I got like stressed out about it, or like, oh, dude, like these guys are paying me money. My YouTube is not paying me money. But I guess I shouldn't let that like get to my head as much, because even it allows, like that would allow me to get more clients, So that was the one that was making me money, because I saw that video that you shot, and people knew I shot it because we did behind the scenes for it. Yeah. I want to do a similar video to that. So I guess that's what was making me money. And it could kind of go into a circle, right? Like if somebody comes up to you and it's like, hey man, I love what you're doing with Unlucky. Can you do that for my brand? Oh yeah. 100%. But Unlucky might not be giving you the amount of money that a shoot, a big shoot would. Right. But obviously, that person coming up to you and be like, oh man, I love your marketing. Like, yep, let's work together. And you're like, dude, and 100%.
And like, maybe it wasn't like so much of the marketing of it, but like people just liking the overall idea of like the name and everything, and it already has brought business.
Your slogan? Do you like to call it a slogan? What is your slogan?
All work, no luck.
Yeah, I love that, dude.
I like it. I mean, I think that's how I've always like envisioned like myself as a person. And it's like something I'm very proud of. Like, I'm not afraid to work hard nonstop. And I'm also not afraid to like admit that I don't want to work sometimes. Like, yeah, exactly. Like I'm very like comfortable in that sense of like, understanding when I have to press the gas and understanding when I don't have to. And I think I probably do. I do the first one more, right? I do the work, and I go and I hustle and I grind, because I enjoy it. Like I genuinely enjoy it. And then when it's time to pull back, I'm able to pull back and like not be like, not be ashamed of it for one, and then not feel bad about it. And who knows, like I think I guess that's just like, it felt so natural to let it be that all work, no luck. A lot of times people like will like think that I named it Unlucky because of bad luck. And I'm like, no, it's not. I don't have bad luck. Like I just don't rely on, at least I've envisioned the company and myself not relying on any exterior force. Yeah. Like
any luck. Yeah.
Any luck. So one thing I know that I'm prone to do is like I look at things half full always. So with that comes like the almost the assurance of like, oh, like why dwell on something that could possibly happen when I could just say, it's like, no, things are going to go well. Things are going to go as planned and we're going to be okay. And 9 times out of 10, I feel like it does happen.
Yeah.
Even when, someone else might look at the situation and be like, I don't know, man, this looks a little iffy,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I'm like, for what? Why are you bringing that, into the universe?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, go in there with the positive mentality. Obviously, prepare yourself as best as you can, and do the things that are appropriate to whatever you're about to embark on. But there's no need to bring any kind of like downfall into existence, because for what? Like, you're doing it to yourself.
I think point. You're definitely like, and I wouldn't say, I guess dreamer would probably be a bad thing, because like my wife is very realistic and I'm more of a dreamer. So I'm like you, right? Like, oh no, it's gonna happen. Like, we'll figure it out. Yeah, it's gonna work out.
See, the thing is, I think the biggest problem with that is to think that you're dreaming because you're positive.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, I don't think that's like, I associate like the idea of a dream with like something like far out there, right? Kind of out there. But I don't think that's the case at all. You're just positive. Yeah. And then the opposite side of like being realistic is like, well, what's the reality? Because I feel like I'm realistic and I'm positive. I feel like, I feel like if I say like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it, I genuinely believe that. Yeah. And I feel like that's reality. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I'm realistic. But someone who's optimistic and they're saying, oh, but something can always go wrong. Don't just be so sure about it. Yeah. It's like, bruh, you just put that out there. You literally said the words and now it's out in the universe and you might have fucked us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's true. And I don't think a lot of people see it that way, unfortunately. Yeah. And in the space that we're in, like in the, the jobs we do, you have to be positive. Like you do have to be, you can't have any negativity like at all.
Yeah. Well, and don't get me wrong. There's people that are optimistic because of certain things, certain situations. They might have the knowledge to say this ain't gonna work out, and that's okay to say, and that's okay to be right, because then you have to adjust and you have to find out what's gonna work. Right. But I mean, I've been doing this for 5 years now, and I can't really say that I've had a project go sideways, like go bad, because we've just made it work every time. It's like, and if I feel like if I would have dealt with certain scenarios the opposite way, not being positive, like it could have gone bad. Yeah. But being optimistic and being like, hey, we did our part, it just so happened that these, scenarios unfolded. But we're going to make it work and we're going to do our best, with them. And sure enough, you turn it into the client. They love it. Great.
Yeah. Do you ever feel stressed out about if they're going to like or not like the project?
No, I think I feel like I'm the biggest critic when we, turn in work. And sometimes I have to be okay with some kind of work. If I'm not 100% satisfied in a sense of oh, I wish we could have done this. I wish we could have done that. I have to understand that, for one, a lot of the work that we do lives on social media for about a week, right? Where they recycle it, they use it as advertisement, whatever. It does what it needed to do. And then they put it in, and they're on to the next, because guess what? Next week we're shooting again. Yeah. So I had to understand that, even though I'm not 100% A-okay with that project and how it turned out, that 95% is more than good enough.
Yeah, exactly.
And I almost hate using the term good enough, because it's of course you want to do something good and you want to do something that you're proud of. And, but I guess in a sense, it's what's more beneficial to the client, like efficiency or that shot to just be perfect,
amazing. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so like, I feel like, at least with my clients, and I can't speak for everybody, but I feel like they're like, if you're telling me that I can have it now instead of tomorrow, give it to me now. Like, I'm not going to notice whatever it is you're talking about, you know? So I think that's been one of the things where, that's helped me a lot and helped the company a lot. Just being able to let go of stuff, and like understanding that, you know, if things didn't go perfect, it doesn't mean they're not good.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that's one thing when I hired an editor was like letting go. And it's funny because when I hired an editor,
yeah,
little tongue twister, it was hard for me at first because I was like, oh no, like it, you know, like this is my style, you know? But in reality, it was just, I was so insecure with like the work that I was doing that I didn't know how somebody else was going to make it work. I just knew that I could make it work, and I didn't trust anybody else to make it work. Once I got over that and kind of wasn't so concerned about if what I did was good, it was a whole lot easier to let it go and like, then look at the project, you know, first edit, approve it, or just change a few things and we're ready to rock.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think I can relate to that as well, because like, we just posted that Enjoy Cool, collaboration video.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And we shot that for me, and I wanted to do it a different way. Like I wanted to do like a talking head with the machine right next to me and doing it. And I think I finished editing it, or we finished editing it, because I also hired an editor, and I was like, you know what, we're just going to post it, because one, it was a long time. Like you had already crossed the deadline a couple of days from where we had agreed to post it. And also I was just kind of like, in the back of my head, I was like, man, like it's, you know, is it good? Is it not good? Like, cause like you said, we're our biggest critics. And one of the things was, you know, I had a lot of say in it, but I didn't ultimately edit the video. But, you know, once that first edit came around, and I was like, no, like, let's change it up. You know, we got to edit these things out or put this in. And like you said, it's hard to let go of like your creative control, I guess you could say, but it's still, I guess it wouldn't say like leave your creative control is because it's your business, but to come with that identity and what you want to do, I think it's hard for some people. And I try to not compare myself to other people, other photographers, videographers, and, you know, and try to do that. But that's why I posted it, because I was like, no, it's good. It's great. And sure enough, like the clients, they emailed me right away. They're like, hey, man, we saw it on your Instagram. It's great. And guess what? We're going to have other products and we need to do more videos. Nice. And I'm like, sick. Yeah. Like, and here I am like
stressing about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like quinceañeras and weddings, you know, it's like 90% of the time they're going to love your work, if not more than that. Right. Because they're in the video. You know what I mean? It's like their product is in the video. I'm sure that they're going to love it. You know, it's not like, oh no, I hate that shot with my daughter, you know? Like,
no. And I think one thing to like keep in mind, just going back to what you were saying, I don't think you're letting go of much creativity if the editor that you're working with understands, or at least you guys are on the same page. Yeah. You know, and obviously what helps, I think more than anything, is you understanding your vision, you know, because if you don't know how to relay that or communicate that, then of course they're going to be shooting in the dark, you know, and they're just going to do whatever they know works best. And they're going to edit it to the best of their abilities. But if you don't give any direction, you know, or at least trust them enough to do something that can speak for the company, that's when it gets a little iffy. I feel like with the new editor or just an editor that doesn't fit your style, and it might work for other styles, but just not what you're looking for. And I think that's one of like the, I guess, growing up things, as a videographer, as a photographer, as a businessman, like that you kind of have to do, like understanding that if you can't lead the troops, they're not going to know where to go, but if you can, then that's when you're able to build a team and everybody understands like what their role is, how they can execute it, why they're doing what they're doing, and just the overall feeling of everything.
How has that helped you, like, in as far as your business wise? Like, I already know that your business grew, but like, how did that affect your business by you hiring like another editor?
It just gave me opportunity to look for more work. It's kind of funny because I think about it a lot, where it's like, this business is like anything. It goes up, it goes down, and you're ready for, when it's up and it's great. Yeah. And when it goes down, you obviously you have to make sure that you can keep the boat going, so when it's times like that, and it's actually like a very small window, I've just realized it's really like max, it's like 3 weeks, right? Where it feels like, especially here in town. And if you're doing a lot of work in town, there's just, for whatever reason, like people just slow down, and it hadn't really hit until like this year. Yeah. Because we were kind of on the high of like, the pandemic and stuff, and people were just nonstop, putting money into their marketing. And so obviously that benefited us, tremendously. So when it's low, it almost, you second guess yourself, you're thinking to yourself like, wow, like,
did I make the right decision?
Did I make the right decision? Am I going to have to kind of cut this in half? Am I going to have to, take a step back? But then you get out of it and you kind of, you stay afloat, and then you realize like, okay, yeah, this is why we do it. Because obviously you have the responsibility of, when you hire somebody, it's not just you. No. You can't think, I'm not going to get that client. It's just not my style, right? You at least have to do the due diligence of like, okay, if we got this client, how is that going to benefit everybody? Yeah. And then it's like, okay, this is how it benefits. It's like, or we can do this, or we can do that, and we can get a client that fits our style a little bit more, whatever. But you don't as easily like make the decisions. I feel like, at least for me, now I look at a potential client and I'm like, that covers their pay for a week, which is big, it's like they rely on that. So like, I have to make sure I come through, and we've been fortunate enough where we have like consistent work that, it doesn't necessarily come down to that, but I still think about it like that. Yeah. Yeah. So one thing that it's done more than anything, it has helped grow the business. And it's taught me like a lot, it's taught me like a shit ton of stuff. Like, because you kind of have to grow up. You don't just take things so lightly. I mean, like, I feel like, especially early on for me, I'll take any work, right? Because you want to make money, and, you're not afraid to like burn the midnight oil all the time. And then it kind of grew into like, thank you so much. Like, I really appreciate you reaching out, but I just don't do baptisms, for example. Yeah. I'll do a baptism if it's the right price. but you know what I'm saying? Like, there was definitely a point. I mean, still, that there's work that I was just like, you know what? I'm not your guy for that, but I know somebody who would be great for it. And there's their contact info. But now it's like, okay, I could do that, and I can get my people paid through, whatever this was, and however X amount of dollars that it was. And then they have work to do, things like that. So it's just, it's funny how it's like, you don't go in reverse because you're growing, obviously. Yeah. But now it's like, understanding like the balance of when it was just me, I can make those decisions a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
Now it's definitely a bigger undertaking.
Well, now you have to look at the business side too, like I remember when I first started, I would be like, oh man, it's $150 I didn't have.
Right.
And then now you look at it and you're like, okay, that's 150. That's probably half of what I need to pay my editor or for the week or that could pay my light bill or something like that.
Right.
Like it is a different perspective. Not that you don't want to do it. It's just, you obviously the financial gain isn't for everybody, because at the end of the day, it's a business, you know, it's not, you can't really just do it for free or anything like that. So
and I think that's one thing, especially like for us being like on the creative side, like the business side is tough. It's not easy. It's not easy. And like, I could argue that at least you have a good like idea about your finances and, how to do everything by the book. And, and me, I know for me, like it's taken me a long time to do it because of the responsibility, the responsibility that it takes to set up certain things or do certain things. But now it's like, I can't escape it. There's no way. Like,
I just think the business side, and we've talked about this before off camera, and, sometimes we get to talk for hours, but your business side, when you're a creative, I think your business side has to be just as good as your creativity. Because then it's just a hobby, like. Yeah.
And if you're a good creative, it means you're going to have business, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But you're not going to be able to run a business. If you don't do certain things, right?
I remember I had my 9 to 5 and I told my brother, man, I want to go full time so bad, because we've had those conversations where you just quit your job. Like you would just tell me straight up, just quit my job. And I'd be like, yeah, that'd be cool. And you're like, you can do it. Like if I'm doing it, you can do it. Yeah. And I was like, I would just be so hesitant. And I would talk to my brother and I talked to him about financing a lot. He's like, I'm not worried about you making money. It's how are you going to spend your money? That's what I'm worried about. Because dude, the more you make, the more you spend. And like, these cameras start getting expensive. Like, you want to eat out all the time. You want to travel all the time. It's like, you're making money, but how are you spending it? How are you managing your money is, I think, the very important thing. And I think over the years, I've definitely gotten better. I haven't gotten perfect, but I am better at like, okay, now we have the house payment. Now we have the bill. Okay, we got enough, manage it. And then now I invoice everything. I can see what's projected like by the end of the month. Like I do it on QuickBooks all. So it's kind of cool to be like, okay, this person has to pay me by the end of this month, or this client has to pay me by the end of the month. So by the end of the month, when the payment is due, I should have this amount. Right. So it doesn't stress me out. Where it used to be where I didn't have track. I don't even remember how people would, out of the blue, there'd be like a Zelle in my bank account. Yeah. And it's like, oh dude, that's sweet. Like I forgot about that came in clutch. Yeah. Or like you would call me like, hey dude, we're going to shoot tomorrow. Are you available? I'm like, sweet. Like, dang dude, that'll be some money for the, whatever. And now it's like, it's coming in. I know it's going to come in. I can track it all online and you're good. But that's part of like your business, like that's part of like, it's not that you have enough money. It's like, where's the money? Like, can you calculate it? Like, are you going to be good by the end of the next month? How many shoots you got? Like things like that. So
I think it kind of like, it's almost like living paycheck to paycheck when you are not able to have like at least a calendar.
It's so funny you say that, because Angie is like, it's like if you're working at the bank again. Yeah. Because at the bank, I will honestly say I was living paycheck to paycheck. Yeah. And it was sucked because I was a financial like
advisor.
No, not an advisor, but like I was in the finance business. Like, and I was like giving people advice. I'm like not even taking my own advice.
Right. Like, it's like you can't be eating out all the time. Yeah, it's like you
shouldn't be like using that credit card for that,
Well, I think like that comes with the business of it all, right? It's like you almost know that it's like, okay, I'm going to have to get my act together sooner or later. Yeah. Because if I actually want this to be my business and my thing, like I can't do it the way that I'm doing it right now.
Mhm.
It's like the freelance life has to come to an end at some point if you want to have people under you, for one, and if you want to have clients that can rely on you,
Right.
and like will be continuously contracting you, that kind of like oh, we'll see what next week brings.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like you're on Monday morning and you still don't know what you're doing for the week. That's rough.
Yeah.
You know, at least in my perspective now.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I'm sure it might work for somebody, right? But at least for me,
yeah,
it hasn't, like it couldn't work like that. Because I feel like it'd be too many unanswered questions.
Yeah.
And like it still doesn't replace like the idea of like this random thing came up, right? It's a good opportunity, it's good money, and it's in 2 days. It's like, am I available? Yes. It's like, what did I have planned then? You know, because just because I'm not shooting doesn't mean I'm not doing anything. You know, and I just look at what I'm doing then, and I say, okay, I can set aside 4 hours, you know, of the day to do this shoot, you know, set up, break down, and then being able to make the decision a lot calmer in a sense than saying like, oh, like, yeah, I'm not doing anything. And then it's like, cool, I'll see you there at 10 a.m. And then you're at 9, you're realizing that you had, you know, 3 or 4 other things. You're like, oh snap, like I forgot, like, you know, and I feel like, again, it goes with the responsibility of like being able to run a business, and understanding that it's like people are depending on you. You are depending on you, like to do the stuff, and being able to do it right, you know, continuously, day in, day out. Because just because you do it all right, you know, for 1 week, it's like next week's coming, and next month's coming, next year's coming. So, you know, it has to be a good practice.
It's definitely funny how, like earlier you're talking about when you're freelancing, like you can take over the world, and then some days it's like you have nothing. Like I was listening to podcasts and it's like, yeah, freelancing is like today I can buy like the entire world. And then next year, like, no, I don't, you know, I'll just have like a cereal for breakfast, you know, like something super cheap. Cause you're like, oh no, I don't have enough, you know?
Right.
And you had always told me that from the beginning. You're like, dude, some months you have to take advantage that there is a lot of work. And then, but because some months there's literally nothing. Like here in Arizona, nobody gets married like
in the summer.
Yeah, like nobody wants to get married in the summer. I think the earliest we've done an event was like in August or something, like mid-August.
Yeah.
But even then it's hot.
Yeah.
Like it's super hot, you know? So it's just crazy how this area works. But then we're lucky because, you know, San Diego's closed, Phoenix is closed, Flagstaff. I mean, you got mountain, snow, ocean.
Yeah.
Like everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
But we can do shoots outside of here. So.
Yeah. And it also depends on like who your clients are. You know, for example, if you work with a company, right, they don't close their doors. You know, some do, but they, you know, for the majority of companies, they're open year round.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're working with them continuously, I mean, that's a good spot to be at.
Yeah.
If you have clients out of the state, you know, that they fly you out or you have to go to them, whatever, it's like, that opens up a more year-round kind of thing.
Yeah.
And if you have clients that maybe are in another location, you know, like kind of like that, where in the sense of like, if you, for example, for me, like I know for sure that there's going to be some Baja races, you know, in the summer, in the winter, no matter what. So I know I can count on those dates that I'll be there.
Yeah.
You know,
of course.
For example, it's July in San Felipe. It's hot, but it ain't as hot as it is in Yuma.
No,
you
at
know
all.
what I'm saying? So it's like that's one thing that I could count on.
How has that been for you, like traveling? Because I know part of the reason we haven't done this podcast is because we've been traveling so much.
Yeah.
Like, have people gotten used to that you travel for work? And do people still ask you questions like, what is it that you do? Because I know I get that question a lot. Like I find friends that all of a sudden I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you're traveling, huh? Like a lot. And I'm like, yeah. It's like, so, I mean, for what? You know, it's
really?
like just following people around, like shooting their photos and videos. That's it. And I'm like, I mean, it's the gist of it, you know,
Yeah.
like, but people do ask me, like, what is it that you do? Like, have people gotten used to you? Because I know you're very open on social media about what you do.
I don't feel like I've gotten many from at least people that know me.
Right.
Like people that I'm barely meeting, and then they're asking me like, oh, so like, what do you do? And just because they don't know me.
Yeah.
And I say like, oh, I do photo and video, you know, I do
Mhm.
this kind of stuff. They're like, oh, cool. And then like, that's all you do, you know? It's like, yeah, that's all I do. But for people that know me, not so much.
No,
I think they kind of like
used to it.
already get the idea that,
Yeah, of
that's my career.
Yeah.
I think now more than anything, since I'm not putting like my name on it and I'm putting unlucky on it.
Yeah.
Now I think that's more of a bigger question. It's like, oh, what's the unlucky thing?
Yeah. Okay.
You know, and it's like, I feel like before they ask, they probably do a little like, you know, Instagram search, and they'll see that I tagged unlucky. And they'll be like, I feel like most people get the idea. It's like, oh, this is the company. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, still there's some people, it's like, oh, so who is it? Is it just you? Or is it somebody else? And I'm like, well, it's me and the team,
Mhm.
you know, but it's me. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I
think there's a big control thing too, with like how you just said, like it's me and the team, because now you can send people to do stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
Like for me, I have no issue working for anybody else. Like I've worked with you, with you, and vice versa, especially when you first starting out. But like I just went to Atlanta. I've never been to this place, and I got the opportunity to go like from one day to another.
Yeah,
to go. And I thought it was really cool. Like, and I have no problem wearing your shirts. Like unlucky. Like even my cousins were like, I love that. Unlucky. Yeah. Like no work, all luck. All luck, all luck, all work, no luck kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, I know. And I was like, yeah, it's my friends. Like, and like you said, I proudly wore it. Like it's so cool to do that. And like, I've actually wanted to do a video on that, like working like for other people, because it's not bad. Like,
oh, like, dude, it's so nice. Yeah, it's so nice to give the memory card and just be like, later.
Yeah, dude. Like it's the funnest thing because you almost get like more creative because you're not thinking about the day to day, like, or like the shot to shot thing, like what you have to do.
Yeah.
You know, like you worked with me for 4th of July in San Luis Arizona, and it was cool because you were shooting. I think like you were having fun, like shooting. You weren't like, hey, so like, what else do we have to do or anything like that?
I wasn't. Well, essentially, like you kind of take the stress away.
Yeah.
Right. Because especially if you already feel confident in what you're doing. Yeah. And so you're in there, you're getting creative, and you know what we need to do, and you know what we can do, and what are the possibilities. Yeah. So it's like it's fun, you know, it's fun. That's one thing that I've always felt and looked at into the company, like having Unlucky. Like if I have the opportunity to take a team with me, I'll do it 100 times out of 100 times. Right. Like it opens up the playbook essentially, you know. Like if you got somebody that you can trust on video, and somebody you can trust on photo, and someone you can trust editing, and you kind of like have your own little dream team right there. And meanwhile, I'm kind of sitting back, and it might look like I'm not doing anything.
Can we just, for the record, say you're not doing it? I'm just kidding.
It may look like, oh, like, well, I hired that guy, and he's like sitting, just kind of hovering over the editing, and then he goes and looks over the shoulder of the videographer and photographer, and it's like I'm making sure, for one, not that I don't trust the people, right, the people working. But just making sure that what our plan is getting executed, and like trying to like figure out, okay, what else is there, you know?
I think it's the sports in us too. Like, cause I love having a team, you know, as well as you. And you know, if everybody's doing their thing, like what they're supposed to do, it's going to work out.
Things are going to work out. Exactly. And it takes that like stress of like, I have the gimbal here, I have a tripod over there, and then I have my photo camera here.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you're gonna,
Yeah.
your brain's gonna be fried like halfway through this event.
I've shot weddings by myself, like just video.
Yeah.
You know, and even that is very like hard because you got a gimbal, you got a tripod, and you're like, you have to set the tripod first and then gimbal. Oh, wait, audio.
Yeah.
Gotta check audio. Like,
And
is it still recording?
And
Like,
it's so different. I feel like recording a wedding video, and they hired you just for video,
mhm.
and then they hired another photographer for just photo.
Oh yeah, I know.
It's hard because you kind of don't have anybody to rely on.
Yeah.
Like, for example, we've done weddings and
Yeah.
it's just you and you do the photo and I do the video.
Uh-huh.
And it's really nice when
Mhm.
you're like, hey, I'll set up the tripod.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, meanwhile, you go get this. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, great.
Dude, and not only that, like, I don't get in your way, you don't get in my way. We're
Yeah.
all constantly communicating.
Yeah.
Because I've shot weddings with the team
Mhm.
when somebody else is the photographer, and some don't respect
Oh,
like
yeah.
your camera at all. It's
Yeah.
like, I have a 7200 for a reason. It's a way back there, just letting you know it's zoomed in,
Right.
and they're like whoop, right in front of you, you know, like, so it's nice to have that communication with it.
Yeah. 100%.
So
I think that's something that once you kind of, you don't even got to nail it. Once you get it in the ballpark,
Mhm.
you know, of like how to run a team and like how to do it well, and finding out what works for you.
mhm.
Like I said, it opens up the playbook, and it kind of, it definitely expands your horizons in a sense of like, by myself, I could have done this, but with everybody involved, I could do way more,
Mhm.
you know? And that's the idea. And providing like a service that people are going to be like, oh yeah, I hired the Unlucky company,
Mhm.
Unlucky Media Company, and it was this guy, and they had their computers, and then all the cameras. And
Yeah,
stuff.
dude, it's
and like,
legit.
and to us, it's just the tools, right? But to them, it's like, wow, I hired a full on production company,
Mhm.
you know, and then I'm looking at the content, and it's freaking great,
Mhm.
and they're giving it to me live, you know. It's really cool. It's like,
Yeah.
I enjoy doing that, you know, 100 times more than I enjoy like going to a shoot, getting the shots, going back home,
Editing.
and it's like,
Yeah, I think real life. I mean, we've done some of those projects, and I've gotten to do a lot of them with you, and it's the best thing ever. It's as close as giving the memory card to somebody else,
yeah,
because then you come home with no work because all the work was done.
Yeah.
You know, like that style is like, it's so dope. Like, it's so cool to shoot like that because you can just give it immediately. Some people like to do like same day edits, like even for weddings.
Yeah.
Dude, we've tried that before, and it's
rough.
it's challenging, you know?
Well, you know what? I feel like for a same day edit for a wedding, you almost have to storyboard
Yeah.
for the wedding.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because if not, you're gonna have your editor right there just going through every single thing, and it's gonna be rough.
Like a half a day to choose a song.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, but if you already have the song ready, if you already have like end titles or, you know, whatever ready, if you have any kind of like lens flares or whatever you want to use, it's like if you have that ready to go, it already sets you up a little bit. And then if you have a storyboard of like understanding, like, you know what, we're gonna start the video off with the vows, and then from there it's going to go to the getting ready, and then this and that and this. It's like, okay, cool. Now you have like a template of like how you want the flow of the video to work. And if you're even more prepared, you listen to the song before, you make where you want those cuts. You know,
it's a lot of prep for sure.
It's definitely a lot of prep.
Before we go, wanted to ask you, like, what is it like the future look for you? Like for now, like, do you just want to shoot like one type of thing? Because I know right now you shoot a lot of things. Is it you want to niche it down, or what do you see Jaid or I guess now Unlucky? Because I know everybody was like, oh yeah, I hired Jaid, but now it's like I hired Unlucky. Like, what do you see the future like?
I don't think niching down in a sense of like we're only gonna do music or we're only gonna do, you know, social media content for, you know, certain people, because I like doing it all.
thing.
To be honest with you,
Yeah.
like I like doing it, and I like doing it in my style. And I like doing it in a style that the team, you know, likes and enjoys doing. So I definitely don't see us being like a one. It's like we only do like Baja races, bro.
Mhm.
Like, don't contact me for your fucking wedding. You know,
Yeah.
it's definitely one of those things I feel like where it's like if we can implement our style and make it work with, you know, the customer's
Mhm.
vision, then awesome.
Yeah.
I'll work with whatever at that point.
I think it's so true, man. Like I do see a lot of YouTube channels and like, you know, you see a lot of reels talk about, you know, find out one thing that you're good at and then do good. If anything, like the pandemic showed us, like you niche down to like just weddings and quinceañeras.
Oh
Like,
yeah, bro.
dude, it sucked for some people,
Yeah.
you know? I know I have close friends that didn't work.
Mhm.
They had to do something else
Yeah.
in that time. And I'm like, man, I'm so lucky we were doing a lot of other things like social media content, things like that we're able to shoot, edit,
Mhm.
and still get paid during that hard time.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that was one of the positive things that you can do. And plus, I don't know for you, but obviously you never get bored of shooting everything.
Yeah.
Like it's always fun. It's always different.
Mhm.
There's not one single off thing.
Yeah.
Like it's always a fun time shooting and editing everything.
Yeah, no, and I think that's one thing that like I've realized for myself. Like one day we can be shooting like at a marisco spot,
Yeah.
and the next day we're shooting a music video.
Yeah.
You know, and I enjoyed both of those like equally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and because we're able to like, for one, work with clients that are on the same page as us. We're able to make content that we enjoy making.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it. I feel like it comes a point where it's like it doesn't matter what's going on the other side of the camera,
Mm-hmm.
as long as it's working with whatever's on this side of the camera,
Mhm.
right? So like whatever was working with the creative team, it's like it makes sense that this this carpenter was shot, you know, making these cabinets
Mm-hmm.
in this way, because that's our style, and we were able to, you know, show them in their best light in our style.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing goes for the music video. It's like, this is our style, this is the way we shoot it. And it works with the artist, it works with the song. You know, I think that's like the most satisfying thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being able to like plug into different things and putting out a product that the client is like 100% happy with, and that we're also very, very happy with.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
Peace.
Perfect.
Sir.